So, well, I'm glad that you guys can hear, so then I don't have to stop this bloody thing. There we go. Okay, go for it. If you can't hear, let me know.
Action potential causes the release of acetylcholine from the synaptic vesicles into space between the axon terminal and the muscle fiber, called the synaptic cleft. In the synaptic cleft, the acetylcholine binds with the receptor site on the fiber to activate, called the synaptic cleft. In the synaptic cleft, the acetylcholine binds with the receptor site on the fiber membrane, which opens a chemically gated ion channel. Sodium then rushes through the ion channel into the muscle fiber, causing an action potential to form on the fiber membrane.
So, this is a bit beyond of where we want to go, but it's not too far beyond. Okay, so that hopefully that gives you an idea of the level of where I'm at. Like I have other videos here that I'm going to show you, but you see here, you remember these channel proteins that hang out in the membrane. Well, they allow some things in, they allow some things out. And this is what's going on here, is the message is getting transferred from the nerve to the muscle. And how it does that is it uses electrical potential difference. You have these atoms, these ions, all right? And they will move in, and then all of a sudden now, because you remember ions right back from week 1, those are atoms with a charge. So if we move atoms with a charge onto one side of a membrane, now I've got a charge on this side and no charge on this side. Now we can get some things done. All right? So
the action potential spreads along the muscle fiber. As more nerve branches activate additional fibers, the action potential spreads over the entire muscle.
Good. Let's get on here. Now this is just another shot of the neuromuscular junction, kind of what we just saw right there. Okay? And you'll see here that an action potential arrives at the presynaptic terminal. So this is a synapse. This is the gap. Synapse. You'll need that one there for your assignment for sure. You'll need it for test 2 next week. A synapse is this gap. And right here now, you're going to see what's going to go on. The action potential arrives at the presynaptic terminal, causing a voltage-gated calcium ion channel to open. So right now, calcium ions are going to flood this whole thing, which then tells that we need the acetylcholine. And I'll show you this right here. Oh, maybe it's here. That's what I wanted. Is it here? No. All right. Let's. I'm gonna find that one because that's a good one. That's your neuromuscular junction. But here, have a look at muscle contraction.
An action potential introduced at the neuromuscular junction is propagated along the sarcolemma of the skeletal muscle.
Can you guys hear that? I hope so. All right. So this is the same thing. We are still at the neuromuscular junction, and you can see there that the electrical potential there from the nerve is traveling along.
At the T-tubule, the action potential is propagated on the T-tubule membrane into the interior of the muscle cell near the ends of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The depolarization of the T-tubule membrane causes nearby voltage-gated calcium ion channels on the sarcoplasmic reticulum to open, resulting in an increase in the permeability of the sarcoplasmic reticulum to calcium ions.
Okay, so you see what's going on here now. The calcium ions, because the nerve has sent its message to the muscle, calcium ions are released. Where do they go? You guys have seen this there before. There's my thick and thin filaments. That's where the calcium goes. Why?
Calcium ions then diffuse from the sarcoplasmic reticulum into the sarcoplasm. Long filamentous tropomyosin proteins lie on two sides of the actin myofilament.
You remember these guys here? These are your thick and thin. All right? Calcium is going to come in and basically unlock. That's what the calcium does. Watch and see.
Covering up the sites where myosin can bind to the actin myofilament. Globular troponin proteins are attached to the tropomyosin. When calcium ions bind to troponin, this causes troponin to change conformation and move the tropomyosin. When the tropomyosin moves, this uncovers the myosin-binding sites on the actin, allowing myosin heads to bind and form cross bridges. The cross bridges play a role in muscle contraction.
There you go. That's where you get your muscle contraction. So basically what we're talking about here, the nerve comes down, sends its message, okay? Calcium is released to the muscle, okay? You saw it come down here, right? The electrical signal came down and the electrical signal comes in, and because of that, it releases the calcium. Where does the calcium go? It goes right onto the thin filaments, which then allows the thick filaments there to move, and therefore now we have a contraction. That's basically it in a nutshell. Okay, you can see it kind of here. If I can get this to, now I actually want to move this up again. So we call this cross bridging. So the muscle contraction, the calcium ions, okay, are stored, and then they are released, okay, following this membrane excitation. And that's what we're going for. And you have to think, the test is going to be the same style as last time. You know what I mean? I don't know. I might have some matching in there. But really, you know what I mean? What are we looking at? 50, 60 questions? Remember, just think we are throwing a flat stone against some still water. We're skipping. Okay? We're gaining understanding. I'm aware of this process. I don't need to go into the... You know, we could spend weeks on this slide alone. We're not going there, okay? So this is what we're looking for. This right here is basically the same slide, okay? And I'll see what I can do, as I'm gonna, if everyone is agreement that if I leave some movies up for 24 or 48 hours, let me see what I can do there this afternoon. I can't leave them up forever, but if I can leave movies up for 48 hours or 24 hours, then you guys can download them and watch them. And because I think these movies are good. I got these there from McGraw-Hill. I'm trying to get more. And, you know, you can go on YouTube and you can watch these videos, but, you know, they could be 9, 10, 12 minutes long. No, these movies are really good because they're 1 minute. They're about a certain topic, and that's it. I can move on. So, and I'm trying to, there's supposed to be hundreds, and I've got a whole bunch, but I'm going to try and get some more. So give me a chance here, and I'll see what I can do. So again, this is just the same thing going about.
At the start of contraction, stored calcium ions are released into the cytoplasm. Calcium ions expose binding sites on the actin molecules. Globular heads on the myosin can bind to these sites, forming cross bridges. Repeated binding and release moves the filaments relative to one another, and as this occurs simultaneously in many sarcomeres, the entire muscle shortens or contracts. This process requires energy in the form of ATP.
And you'll see there that the ATP works to shift everything back, so it's like a loaded gun. Okay? You fire the gun, there's an ATP, now it's ready to fire. Now you want to reload, you need another ATP in there. That's how the whole system works. Okay? So we've got, again, I overkill on this, but you guys can watch this. You know what I mean? It's just the same thing. You got your actin, your myosin, your thick and your thin. It's a good little one. All or nothing. We've talked about that. A strong or weak signal from the nerve will indicate how much of the muscle will fire, meaning how much of the muscle fibers will contract. Muscle fibers will contract only 100%. So depending upon how much nerve signal was presented, that will determine how many muscle fibers contract. Because remember, one nerve can go from stimulate 5 to 200 muscle fibers there. Okay, but if we have a very strong nerve signal, now we should get like a full muscle contraction. But if it's only a small little nerve signal, you might only get a partial muscle contraction. Okay. What do we got here? Muscle contraction, muscle tone. Okay. When muscles are relaxed, there are always some myosin heads binding. Okay. And I just wanted this one right here. That's what I wanted. We've seen that there. We'll get into muscle tone. I've got muscle tone down here. Somatic means body. So a body motor neuron. Okay. Skeletal muscle contraction only takes place when it is first stimulated by a nerve. This is muscle that we have control over. Somatic motor nerves supplies skeletal muscle, which emerges from the spinal cord and travels to the skeletal muscle. You guys will get into that there when you guys get into the brain and nerves and stuff. I put this in here. You guys can read this. It's just an electrical pathway of what goes on in the whole somatic motor neuron stimulation. The electrical signal travels down the nerve to the terminal and causes the release of neurotransmitter acetylcholine. I apologize if you can't read that. The acetylcholine diffuses across the neuromuscular junction and binds to the receptor sites in the muscle. The stimulation of the receptor sites causes an electrical impulse to form in the muscle membrane. So what has gone on? The message travels down, which causes acetylcholine to be transmitted across the junction. The acetylcholine goes across and actually touches the muscle. And when the acetylcholine does this now, it causes the muscle to contract, okay? Because now calcium is released, and the calcium goes into the muscle, which then binds to the thin filaments there and allows the thick filaments to pull them in. Basically, that's what we're looking at there in a nutshell, okay? And then the use of ATP is used to reset, okay? And then the muscle fires, and now we need another ATP to reset it. That's how she goes. So you think, when you're doing this with your fingers so fast, you just think about how fast those muscles and nerves are resetting. There's ATP being used right now, and it's incredible how fast these things are resetting and going. The all or nothing here, we've talked about this. Impairment of the neuromuscular junction. There are neurotoxins. Like there's a really great TV show on Netflix called 72 Dangerous Animals. There's 72 Dangerous Animals Asia and 72 Dangerous Animals South America. It's really good, really good. My kids love it. And just the whole idea there that there are these poisons, these biological poisons made by spiders and snakes and all that, neurotoxins. They'll go right after the nerve system there. Symptoms of myasthenia gravis are caused by damaged receptor sites on the muscle membrane. So if there's a problem, the nerve is coming down with his message, but if the muscle is not able to get the message or receive the message, now we have trouble, right? Now the muscles aren't firing the way they're supposed to. The receptor sites are altered so that they cannot bind acetylcholine. So if the muscle can't bind acetylcholine, no calcium is getting in. So therefore, the muscle is not going to contract. Okay? There's another one there. Y'all can have a look at that one there. Okay? There's lots going on here. Again, disorders of the neuromuscular junction. We just talked about this one here. We've got neuromuscular blockade by Curare, which was this one right here. Okay? And here we've got botulism. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of botulism. if you ever open up a can of soup or a can of beans or something, and you put the can opener in it.
Botox, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what it is, right? Botox. That is, it's a bad one, and basically causes a bit of paralysis. And but yeah, that's what it is. And botulism there. If you open up your can of soup, and if it goes, psh, like you open up a bottle of Coca-Cola, throw it out, and I mean quick like a bunny. Oh yeah, it's a bad one. Okay, but you guys can have a read of these. They got tetanus over here. There's this course, I'm not really going after, any type of pathophysiology, any type of disease. You know what I mean? We talk about them in a little bit. We talked about bacteria and viruses and all that. But again, if you ever get a chance to study diseases, take it. It's crazy. What do we got here? We're going to discuss their muscle responses, single fiber and whole. 2 words here, twitch and tetanus. We're going to identify sources of muscles there for sources of energy. We're not going to go too deep into all of this kind of stuff, but we'll give you guys a bit of an idea. We're going to define muscle terms, state the basis there for naming muscles. Like, you're obviously not going to have to know all the muscles. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? I don't even know them all. You know what I mean? And I know what I need to know. And but there are small. We're just going for major muscle groups, and you guys will see what we're talking about here. Identify and list the actions of the major muscles. So let's get on with this here. It's a good one. When muscles are relaxed, there are always some myosin heads binding and releasing actin. So remember those, the cross bridging. You got your thin and your thick, and okay. So the muscles are never ever 100% relaxed, ever. It just doesn't happen. All right, and it just like all of a sudden, if there's a bear over there, you got to be able to run. Sorry if I scared some of you, or maybe I woke some of you guys up, but your muscles, it's an evolutionary trait that we have that prepares us for bears or tornadoes or anything bad that can happen, right? Our muscles have to be ready to go at any point in time because I want to survive. And if there's a building falling on me and my muscles are asleep, well, I'm gone. So your muscles always have this tone or tonus to them, that they are ready to go. All right? Important for preventing our muscles from overstretching, and it also helps maintain and balance when we are moving. All right? But most importantly, it's there for protection. Our muscles are always awake, even when they're relaxed. A twitch, like sometimes there in your thigh or shoulder, you know what I mean? Just some muscle just will, all right? And it's just, you can feel it. It's not your entire shoulder. It's just, so a single muscle response in which the muscle there contracts and then fully relaxes and then comes back again. Tetanus there, sustained muscle contraction caused by repeated stimulation. So that's when you're holding it. All right? That's different from just a single contraction. All right? Tonus, normal continuous state of partial muscle contraction. And this is for safety. All right? Our own safety. Our muscles are always alert. Okay? This is a good one. Even though we haven't done blood, you guys know what hemoglobin is. Okay? This is in the blood here. Okay? And this is how oxygen binds when we breathe in air. Okay? And the oxygen just jumps, and you see all of our blood comes through comes to our lungs, and I mean like this. This is my lung tissue. These are the arteries of my blood, and they are touching because they're supposed to touch, because oxygen that's up here is got to get down here. And carbon dioxide that's in the blood right now is got to get out of here and into the lungs. So that's what's going on. So that's the oxygen will bind to the hemoglobin in the blood. All right? But the muscles have their own form of hemoglobin. And it all goes back to, you remember tonus? You know, your muscles are always ready to go. Well, your muscles, in order to be always ready to go, or in order for your muscles to always be ready to act, because you never know when there's going to be a bear or a tornado or whatever, right? So what happens is we have these specialized quote unquote blood cells in all of our muscle. And these are cells, like the hemoglobin is in our RBCs. It travels all around the blood and travels all the way around the body and delivers oxygen to all the cells, collects all the carbon dioxide, takes it, we got this. But myoglobin, there is no travel. There's no travel. It stays in the muscle. It is there. It's an oxygen supply in the muscle 24/7, 365. Okay, so the hemoglobin carries oxygen throughout the body, and it carries oxygen to the muscles, where the muscles take the oxygen and they store it in myoglobin. So right now, I'm sitting in my chair being lazy, and I've been late. I got my shot there yesterday, and everything seems all right. I'm just a little there today, but yeah, I got my first shot there, and but the whole reason that you are able, if I wanted to go run 500 meters right now, I'm not going to, but I could, because I've got myoglobin in my muscles right now that have oxygen in there already. So I could run for 100 meters right now, and at the end of it, I wouldn't be, okay, at the end of, let's say 50 meters, I would actually still be okay. I wouldn't be panting like a crazy person, because I haven't used up all the available oxygen in my body. I've used up oxygen in my muscles, right? That's the difference between a 100-meter sprinter and a 500-meter or a 400-meter sprinter. A 100-meter sprinter does not go into oxygen debt. A 100-meter sprinter is only using the sugars and oxygen in the muscles. A 400-meter sprinter, though, after about 100 meters, all of their oxygen is gone from their muscles. The myoglobin has been depleted. So therefore now, I ain't got any more oxygen in my muscles, so therefore I need to get oxygen in my muscles now, because I still have 300 meters to go. So that's why we start to breathe heavy, to get more oxygen in. Okay, so hemoglobin, myoglobin. There is a difference. We haven't done hemoglobin yet, but we'll compare the two in a more heavy detail there when we get to blood. All right, but just know that there is myoglobin, which is found in the muscles, okay, and hemoglobin, which they both kind of do the same thing, but one is specific for the muscles. The other one there is specific to distributing oxygen there to the whole body. Okay. We've got energy sources for muscle contraction. We're going to talk about these. I'm not going to hit these too hard. You know what I mean? It's not really designed to where you guys are going to go, but there are some good words. Okay. Like glycolysis is a normal process that occurs when oxygen is not available. So when we go into oxygen debt, okay, we start to heavy breathe, and what happens is this process there, it causes lactic acid. You know, when you have a great workout and, a really good one in there, the next day your muscles are all sore and stiff, that's the lactic acid. That's because during your workout there yesterday, you went into oxygen debt. All right? And therefore now I needed to get more oxygen, and that whole process there causes lactic acid. But we'll go into a little bit of detail here. Not too much. What do we got here now? Let's have some muscles. There's more than 600. I think all these tests are open book anyway, so you don't have to memorize anything. Is this being recorded? All right. Your largest muscle, okay, this is in your butt, gluteus maximus, okay, massive muscles. massive meat. That's what these are. Okay? And your smallest muscle, your stapedius in your middle ear. Longest muscle, your sartorius. This goes from your hip to your knee. So what is that, man? Like 2 feet? All right. So just interesting stuff there. What do we got? Your origin, your insertion. We've talked about this. The belly is the meat of the muscle. Okay. Your origin there, the end of the muscle that attaches to the stationary unmoving bone. Your insertion, that's the movable side. Okay. More words here. Prime movers, also called an agonist. Okay, when we do complex movements, it's the main muscle that performs the contraction. Now, what am I talking about there? Well, when you walk, there's a whole bunch of muscles, man, that are working. And it ain't just your legs. Your arms are moving. Your back is moving. You're moving muscles, but then there's also stationary muscles. There's stabilizer muscles. Like, what's keeping my head here? I'm not even thinking about it. I'm looking at the screen right now. I'm thinking, why is my head not falling over? Because there's all these different muscles that are involved, even though you may not think about it in whatever action you're doing. So when I say a prime mover, okay, these are the muscles that are doing the main action. We're not interested in the stabilizers or whatever, okay? Your antagonist muscles, okay? They muscles that must do the opposite of the okay. So these are opposite, and there are so many muscles there that oppose each other. You have your quadricep, which is in the front of your thigh, okay, and that moves your leg forward. Try it. Okay, move your leg forward. That's your quadricep. That's the big meat on the front of your thigh. Okay, you have your hamstring in the back. All right, that pulls your leg back. Those two oppose each other. All right, and that's how a lot of muscles work. There's one there that keeps the other in check. And the big problem is if one of those muscles gets damaged in any way, well, now what is there to safeguard against the opposite muscle getting damaged? You see? And that's the thing, is when you have some type of muscle damage, it's best to just stay off of it completely. Because what normally happens if you keep using that damaged appendage muscle, what happens is the antagonist, the other muscle, ends up getting damaged as well. Okay? Fixator Fixation. These are your stabilizers. Okay? Synergist. Control stabilizing joints involved in the action. Okay, so we can have a look at these. Follow up with these there in the book. The words are all there. Everything is there. So have a look at it. Just words there for you to know. Great for matching. All right, I love matching. I don't know why, but I do. Muscle overuse and underuse terms. We've got, just to tell you, hyper, Hyper, okay, means up. Increased. Hypo, Hypo, means lower. So you look at hyperthermia. Hyperthermia. Thermia is temperature. Okay. Again, there's your Latin. Hyperthermia, increased temperature. Hypothermia, decrease in temperature. Okay. You guys might have, we'll get into atrophy. Before I get into hypertrophy, I'm going to get into atrophy. Now, your body, I'll say this again and again and again, billions of years of evolution. And when I was in grade 10, I fractured my tibia, which is the second biggest bone in your leg. Okay? You have your femur, your tibia on the lower leg there. And it was a bad break. It was a bad break. And anyway, I was in a full leg cast when I was grade 10. Grade 10 was a great year, by the way. Just great. I had a full leg cast on for, 5 months. And, I had muscle. I had lots of muscle. I was running around. I broke it playing football. But at the end of 5 months, when I got the cast taken off, I could literally put my entire arm down my leg because my cast was kind of open, and it wasn't, the cast hadn't broken, but what had happened is my body's not dumb. If you are not using anything, or if you're not using a muscle, your body will take it away. And that's why weightlifters, you have to keep working those muscles out on a regular basis, because if you're not, your body will take it away. It's a waste of time. The body's thinking, why am I putting all this money into, ATP, into this bicep when this guy, and when this person's not even using it? So you know what? Let's make the bicep smaller. All right. So that's called atrophy. It's wasting away the muscle, where the body degrades the muscle because it's not being used. Okay. There's hypertrophy, which is the opposite. Okay. Because of overuse. And you see, bodybuilders, what happens is you exercise your bicep, and what you want to do is you want to take your bicep to a safe place of psh. And what do I mean by that? Is you're exercising the bicep and you want to start breaking those muscle fibers from overuse, hypertrophy. Psh, psh, psh. So now you've actually destroyed muscle tissue. And then, because you get lots of sleep and you eat lots of good food and you're healthy and all that, what happens is, the body goes, this guy, he's breaking, I don't know why the muscle's breaking here. This guy is doing something different. So then what we need to do is we need to build more muscle. And we'll build more muscle. And then next week the weightlifter breaks it again. And then the body builds more and builds more. That's how muscles get bigger. Okay, they respond to use. Okay, and even if there's disability involved, or any type of exercise will stimulate that. And it's the same with the bones. If you are not walking, or if there's you're not jumping up and down, what will happen is your bones will suffer atrophy. The more you jump up and down, the more pressure you're putting on your bones. So then your body has sensors all over the place, and if your bones are sensing pressure because you're jumping up and down, the body is going to maintain proper bone structure, dump calcium and all the minerals in the bones because they can sense pressure. But people who have been bedridden for a year, their bones have been depleted because the body senses that the bones aren't sensing any pressure. So then we don't need all those minerals in the body. All right. So atrophy is just a wasting away. Sorry, I guess that was kind of long. Contracture, abnormal fibrous formation in the muscles that freezes in a flexed position. Can be dangerous there. How skeletal muscles are named. It's all shapes and sizes. The size, Gluteus Maximus. Shape. You're in the middle of your back there, your trapezius. Okay? These guys up here on the top of your shoulders. Okay? They look like trapezoids. Okay? Orientation of the fibers. Here we have the rectus abdominis. These are your abs. Your pecs, chest muscle, pectoralis, major and minor. Number of origin, bicep. Bicep has 2 origins. Tricep on the back of the arm. They are antagonists of each other. They do the opposite, right? Tricep, 3. That's a good one there. The sternocleidomastoid. Okay, that's in the middle of the chest. You're in the inner thigh, outer thigh, you have the adductors and abductors. All right? But we'll get into all these. There's over 600 muscles, you know what I mean? I'm not looking for you guys to memorize any of them. But you guys will have them all here on a testing situation, and everything is there. So, again, by function, all right, We've got Levator Scapulae. So anybody know where your scapula is? Back of the shoulder. But we'll get there when we do muscles or when we do bones in about 10 or 15 minutes or so. Because we're almost done here. You guys can have a look at these. You know, your rectus femoris. And I apologize for... You really can't see any of these, but you can blow them all up. They come up very clear. And again, I'm not looking for you guys to memorize these, but we'll go through some of them there. I do want you guys to know. Okay, so muscles of the face. We have 60 small muscles in our face. It takes 40 of them to frown, 20 of them to smile. So you want to relax, it's easier to smile than it is to frown. Facial muscles, they chew, open eyes, raise eyebrows, these kinds of things. There's a whole bunch of them here. The frontalis, orbicularis, oculi, levator, palpebrae, superioris. You know what I mean? There's all of these guys here. But we got muscles of the neck in trapezius. And you have a look here. They're all here. You guys can have a look at these. And again, you don't have to memorize them. You just got to be able there to find them. Okay? And I'm not saying I'm not going to go too crazy on these, all right? But there you go. There's some muscles. We've got muscles of the trunk and breathing. Here are your intercostals. We'll get into lungs and all that. Your diaphragm is this flat pancake muscle there. Okay, that separates the digestive tract there from the respiratory area right here. Okay. What do we got here? We've got the muscles there, the trunk. And you guys can have a look at these. The ones there in red are the ones there that I've highlighted. You know, and if I am going to ask any of these, it'll be one of these guys here. Okay, there's your deltoid, your shoulder, your pectoralis major. Okay, your minors there are underneath. And you'll see there that when you're talking muscles, there's different layers. Like, you know, I mean, your shoulders, your pecs, your biceps, these are the muscles there, your abdominal, these are the muscles there that we see all the time. But there, you'll see that there's different layers of muscles. And there's muscle, like, if you suffer from lower back issues, the back is, it's just got layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of muscle. And all it takes is for one of those fine little muscles there, deep, deep, deep in the back to have an issue, and now you've got lifelong muscle trouble. So it's a struggle if you suffer from that for sure. Muscles of the shoulder, girdle, and the arm. Okay, traps, pecs, deltoids, rotator cuff. You'll see there that the shoulder is the shoulder and the hip. These are these ball and socket joints, right? The shoulder joints and the hip joints, they're the joints there with the most motion. Okay? And like you look at this joint right here with your thumb. Is there anything else you can do with your thumb? That joint right here? Really not. It's kind of like an open-close thing. That's it for that one. So you guys can have a look at these ones here. Muscles of the forearm. There's your bicep brachii, tricep brachii, brachialis. Have a look at these there in your textbook. I won't ask you anything that hasn't been highlighted or mentioned on here in some capacity. You know, I'm not looking to take you guys down. You guys know me, all right? So as far as what muscles to study, don't look anywhere else other than this PowerPoint, okay? And I would never go after you on anything like this, okay? So have a look. And again, it'll be the same style test, so how many questions can I really ask about this? Because I have 4 chapters to cover on next week's test anyway. So what do we got here? Carpal tunnel syndrome. This comes from your book. It's an interesting, you know, just the whole idea of how repetitive motion can cause severe, irreparable damage. Have a read of it. It's very interesting. I don't know if you've had anyone who suffers from it, but it can be pretty devastating. And all it takes is just sitting at a desk and typing at a computer, and just that repetitive motion will cause this. not the nicest thing. Muscles of the thigh, you've got them all right here. Have a look at these ones right here, and you can see the different layering. You know what I mean? Your quadricep, when I was talking about it earlier, it's actually a combination of 4 different muscles there. Okay, there's your sartorius there, goes from the hip all the way down. Okay, psoas major, that's a good one. Muscles of the body there. Again, this is the backside here. There's your glutes. Okay, come on down. There's your hamstring right in here. And you, as with the quadricep, which is one word which means a whole bunch of different muscles, the hamstrings are the same thing. There's a whole bunch going on here that all constitute what a hamstring is. One of my favorites is the calf muscle, aka the gastrocnemius. And that is it for muscles. It's long there today, and it's going to get longer. But please feel free not to stay. If you please stay. But if you can't stay because you have kids and all this kind of stuff, don't feel bad. I'm going to do a skeletal right now, and it'll all be posted, and you guys can watch it in your own time. So it is 1:53. Go and take 7 minutes. We'll see y'all back at 2. Okay? Thanks, guys.